I think it's really important that people start to examine the other aspect of blockchain. And this map has a lot more to do with smart contracts and Ethereum related products, and the way the plan is to create this layer of logic, of automated code, arbitration code within a cyber physical system, right? The way we deal with one another in the world through these encoded contracts is really important. And the way in which that interfaces with the idea of democracy and the commons, and remedying these broken systems, right? Remedying the broken system of wealth inequality, remedying the broken system of corrupt politicians and stolen elections and fraud. But in fact, it's going to do nothing of the sort, and it's actually going to make us sort of pets of the AI, so to speak. And so one of the places that I went, I've been looking a lot more into block science, and I'm not sure, I think maybe Leo first put them on my radar. But the founder of Block Science, which is the red dot here in the middle, is Michael Zargham. And he actually was trained at the University of Pennsylvania here in Philadelphia, where I'm at. And he got his PhD in the engineering program, and did a lot with simulation modeling. And much of his PhD research was actually backed by the military, so the Army Research Office, and I believe the Navy as well. And then he while he was doing this work at Penn, he was also a consultant on humans, networks, technology, and data. So Mr. Zargham and his colleagues are very deeply involved with the planning of new tokenized economies and societies, really, and how those interface with optimization and simulation modeling, and the future of work, because much of this involves Web3, and it involves people doing remote work, TaskRabbit sort of jobs to build out this new digital empire. And ultimately, this idea is that through these tokens, which are actually signals, some of which represent something that we may commonly understand as money, and some of them may be represented as something we today understand as votes, but it's going to get a lot murkier, is that they're going to try to steer society. And I'm going to do another live in a bit, that I have a whole playlist of like 45 different 1 to 4 minute clips that's really talking about this new working model of building out the quote unquote open source metaverse as a digital public good, and how that's going to solve all of our problems. And then in doing that work to build it out, how we build reputations, and not only reputation scores, but also we participate in that digital twinning process and the social steering process. So I've been doing some stuff with block science, and it all really goes back to blockchain. And it's framed around the commons, this token engineering common system that we there are a lot of videos. I've been watching a lot of videos about algorithmic policy making, and this token engineering commons ecosystem, and then the commons stack that is coming with that. And that's sort of the topic that Leo and Jason and I took up in that 2-part series about financing these digital public goods and how that would all happen. So I've been spending a lot of time on this, and as it happens, I ended up revisiting something called this blockchain futures map guide that I had seen probably 4 or 5 years ago. This was developed by Institute of the Future, which is based in the Bay Area. It actually dates back to the 1960s. It was spun out of RAND, which is sort of a military defense think tank. And in fact, I think one of the founders of the Institute for the Future actually developed the Delphi approach, which is sort of like steering meetings to a predetermined end and giving you sort of a sense that you participated, even though your participation was meaningless because they'd already decided the outcome. But looking at this blockchain futures document, which essentially was a map, let me see if I can pull it up. It was a map that featured like a 10-year time horizon from 2017 to 2027, sort of their plans for blockchain. And I had actually done a long Twitter thread sort of breaking out this document around the health data space, that it's not just about, injections, what have you, like biometric health passports, but it's actually much more broad around wellness behaviors and social prescribing and managing people through their health data. And so, I was revisiting this again today, and, it was quite fascinating because when I was looking at it again, it's like stares you right in the face. The opening section that talks about how they're going to phase this in. I mean, I've read it many times before, but I didn't have the knowledge base to really see it for what it was. They say that there are 3 phases, okay? And I'll just read this out loud for people who might probably do this as a podcast or the audio for it. That blockchain infrastructure will unfold over the next decade. Now, again, this started in 2017 in 3 phases of transformation. So they have 3 specific phases. From new currency to new computing infrastructures to new ways of managing all kinds of commons. The commons idea is central. The governance of the commons. We need to shift from focusing solely on the money part and the central bank digital currency to broaden our understanding to the tokenization of everything, the securitization of everything as tokens, and then the moving of those tokens through social systems as a language that informs the AI. Okay? So the section goes on. The first phase, the phase of currency innovations, is still well underway. Even as cryptocurrencies and shared ledgers create more flexible alternatives for handling all kinds of financial transactions within and across institutions, communities, and nation states, wide-ranging experiments are underway to tokenize non-financial value exchanges, all right? And the tokenization of these non-financial values, that's what we need to be paying attention to. Identity, information, ideology, and strategy will all take advantage of crypto tokens to reweave the fabric of our economy and society, right? So they're wrapping us up in the matrix, right? They're reweaving, even they're going to tokenize things even down to ideology. All right, so this is the first phase was the money phase, but they have much greater ambitions. Okay, it continues. The second phase of the blockchain transformation is the build out of trusted distributed computing. As smart contracts insinuate themselves into blockchain transactions, they will form the basis of what is, in effect, a distributed protocol-based global computer, eventually displacing today's platform-based cloud computing. They will control the execution of blockchain transactions using immutable code that tracks the state of every exchange everywhere in the world at any given point in time. This is called stateful computing, and it will be the secure foundation of a truly automated, intelligent future. Okay, so when we're talking about digital passports, health passports, biometric passports, it is about pervasive computing. That is what this is about. This is about essentially creating an extended reality where data is overlaid onto the physical world and onto our relationships with one another, and that at any point in time that information is aggregated, it is interoperable, it is distributed. And the trust piece is always about blockchain. And it's always been about that. So my very strong and firm position on the blockchain has always been, ever since I found out they were putting children on blockchain to build social capital, was that this was never really meant to be about quick, fast money. It was always the control grid and the language of human emotion, the language of human values, the language of human society that would be tracked through the token exchanges. And that's what's coming. So then the second phase is this distributed computing layer with the logic, with the trust. Okay, and that's essentially like the Ethereum space that I've been working on a lot lately. And then the last paragraph says the result of the first two phases will be a new model for managing not just information commons, but the physical commons. As the Internet of Things is connected to the blockchain via smart contracts and tokens, and tokens control the flow of value through it, crowdsourced infrastructure will take advantage of peer-to-peer networks to build and govern everything from distributed energy grids to self-managing public services, okay? And so in this, you have to always read govern now as cybernetics. It is the governance protocol is a steering mechanism. That is what the token economies are. They're a government surface to steer us and ultimately to steer us towards some optimized swarm intelligence. And I feel very strongly that this links in with Vernadsky and Teilhard de Chardin and Huxley's idea that and the Foundation for Integrated Education and Kunst and Reiser, that this world brain, the global superorganism, is what they are orchestrating through the token exchanges. And so all of the people who are really focused on who did what and who were the bad guys and who defrauded whom and what the regulations are and who will get central bank digital currency first, they're not yet in the headspace of understanding the smart contract layer of logic and the token exchanges as ultimately steering mechanisms for collective intelligence.